So I had this persona that went to work every day and made the money that financed my dreams and aspirations. And that kind of worked for me. So it was like Superman going into the booth and changing clothes.
Come out, Missy B.
Yeah, there we go.
So welcome everybody back to Two Lit Chicks. I am Fern Johnson, and I am here with two personal friends of mine, esteemed guests, and STEAM advocates, both STEM and STEAM advocates. Now, they gave me this long, drawn-out bio, and I was like, it's just Missy and Gregg. But I have this long, drawn-out bio, so I feel compelled to read it. So we're going to read it for the sake of you've sent it to me, and I want to honor the content that you shared with me. But if you thought
I think that's yours because
it's only 50 words.
I submitted a short bio.
And mine's only 50 words.
I think yours was 71 words. I'm just saying.
Mine was just 50 words.
Hers was just 50 words. So I am so honored to have Missy Burton here. She's a visionary creator who uses photography, prose, poetry, technology, and music to tell empowering stories of life, love, and triumph. Committed to mentoring emerging artists, she fosters community through workshops. If y'all could just see the facial remarks going on over here. Collaborations and personalized guidance, helping others find their voices and tell their stories. That is 50 words to the dot. Now, the 71-word version for Mr. Gregg Young, dynamic entrepreneur with a diverse portfolio of talents and experiences. As the visionary founder of S.T.E.A.M, an augmented reality software development company, Gregg leads a team dedicated to pushing the boundaries of technology and creativity. Outside of his professional pursuits, Mr. Gregg is an avid art collector, passionate about supporting emerging and established artists. He believes in the transformative power to art to inspire, challenge, and unite communities. That was definitely
More than 50 words.
More than 50 words.
Way more than 50.
Way more than 50 words.
And I feel like
I think the spaces,
I'm not worthy of being on the podcast with you.
Spaces, because when you look at it, it counts spaces.
Oh, is that what's happening?
It does. So if you have an
okay.
input box and you start typing in it, if you space, it counts it as a character.
And maybe it's because you use like 4 and 5 syllable words as your one word.
So you guys can see we're going to have a good time today because we have a couple of smart Alex in the house. We happen to know each other fairly well, so it's going to make for a great inviting conversation. My partner in crime, Dr. Alicia Makaye, is on vacation, so I'm taking this one solo, but I think we'll do just fine. You think we'll be all right?
I think
we'll be all right. All right. We good. We Gucci. Yeah. So now that we have you here in the studio, and I'm so excited because this is season 1 of Two Lit Chicks.
Yes. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
Yes.
I'd love to hear a little bit about your stories and your background and how you saw the value of including the A in STEM, which we all know what STEM's about. And you guys are both artists and technologists. Yes. So, Miss Burton.
Yes. I was born in a family of artists. So I came here an artist, and my family was the family that when they ask you what were you going to do, they meant creatively. Mm-hmm. And so technology came later on in my career with my work. And so I'm interdisciplinary. I use music, as you mentioned earlier. I'm a writer. I've written my first book called I Am Woman, Ode to the Female Essence, and I'm working on my second book. And in that book, I introduced technology using the Sana.io app that Gregg developed for me.
Awesome.
So I write my own music and include my music in these experiences with my photographs and my writings. And I will be using more of it in the book that I'm currently writing.
That is amazing. And so I didn't meet you on that side of the fence. I met you on the technology side of the fence.
Absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit about what's the tech work you've done in the past?
So the tech work, my first introduction into IT was QA, actually. I was introduced to QA at a startup company a long time ago. And I met you at the beauty shop one day,
girl. Because you know we got to have our hair did.
Yes. So I was at the beauty shop one day, and we were talking, and of course I was looking for work, and you offered me an opportunity at PepsiCo. So I came on with PepsiCo, working for one of your big projects and doing, oh my God, EDW testing. So that required that I had to learn how to write SQL script and test data warehouse data, which was very foreign to me. But, sister had to pay the bills. So that's
Awesome.
how I got introduced to technology, was with QA testing.
All right, so Gregg, Mr. G, I call you G Money. So G Money, what's up?
Let's do it.
So you're also in tech, but you're also an artist. So where do you want to start first? Do you want to start on the technology side? Or you want to start on the artistic side?
Start on the artistic side.
All right.
So charcoal.
Charcoal.
My medium.
Okay.
Charcoal sketching. And acrylic. Been painting and drawing since I could remember. Wow, some of my aunts have some of my work hanging in their homes. We don't have any of my pieces.
We have 0 pieces.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Time out. Did I not tell you all that this dynamic duo is married? What? Artists and a married couple and business partners all in one. I don't know what's going on at the Young house,
Yes,
but
but we don't have one of his works hanging on our
Well,
wall.
we're gonna have to change that. 'Cause
Yes,
there's a
we
few
will.
pieces that I have, so we'll have to get those up.
Okay.
And I'll find a spot for it.
Okay.
So that's my medium.
Okay.
Is charcoal. Love
So-
to sketch.
awesome. But you're also doing music productions. I thought you do music
I did.
productions.
I did
Okay, you
music
slipping on that
production
one?
too.
Okay.
Well, so music. Family of musicians, artists alike. Got into the music industry. I was in A&R at Warner Brothers for quite some time. That's how we met.
Okay.
And doing a lot of music production for artists, so under the Warner umbrella. So yeah, just kind of moving around, getting a feel for things that I like and enjoy to do.
So tech is now very broad. Back when we probably started, I'll just speak for myself because I'm so young. Back when we started in tech, it was really information technology or computer services or computer systems. Tech is so much broader now. And so the work that you're doing in the digital space and in the music space is considered tech as well, right? It's just a different side of that coin. But when I talk about you and kind of having a tech background as well, what's the other side of the coin on the pure play IT side of the house that you've worked in?
Front end, back end development, front end design, UI, UX, and HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a lot of front end development. So I did a lot of that self-taught, going way back. Front page. A lot of people probably may not remember what front page was, but that, and then graduated into using Dreamweaver and Photoshop and Quark Express and all of those old school tools.
So what's a new school tool? Because I feel like,
Oh,
so let me just back up. We're talking to everyone, but we're really leaning into the next generation coming
Figma.
into tech. So
Figma.
so they're probably more in tune with the new tech than I am. What's the new technology?
Figma, if you're doing front end design,
Okay.
Figma.
Okay.
And then you're looking at React Native as a stack, Flutter, but my go-to is React Native.
React Native. Okay.
React Native.
So
yeah.
in the last couple of months, I'm all things Airtable, Canva, Otter AI. I just found out Claude, he's my new boyfriend, Claude AI. We've been working together pretty intimately the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of new technology out there, which I think makes it fun. It makes it challenging. But I think the artistic and the creative juices can continue because there's always something new to learn.
Oh, yeah.
And then how do you apply it really to work smarter? So I have a new principle. You're going to hear it 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the WHO principle. Do you have any idea what that means?
What does that mean?
Work hard once.
Well,
Stop.
I like that.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. Okay,
I
so
mean,
we need that as a poster.
Yeah, because that's.
I think that's a T-shirt.
Work hard once.
Yes.
That's my thing. You start doing software development. It's like, why keep rebuilding the same thing when you can do it right the first time around?
Agreed. So let me ask you this question. What made you, because it sounded like you started in arts, and then flipped to technology. And when I say technology, it's either technology applications or infrastructure or testing. All right, so what was the brain switch for you to say, you know what, I'm in this artistic career, but everything I'm learning I have enough that I can pour it over to do technology?
So I think For me, it was, I started in like 85. So we had one of the first IBM computers. So
Is that 1985?
Yeah, 1985. So I was making computer games then.
Okay.
So I had that dual passion of tech because of my father and art because of my mother. So I was doing both. And then I learned Cobalt.
Okay.
So, it kind of goes all the way back. So I'd never really just I've always balanced the two.
Okay.
And I have a kind of a unique story in that I was always the artist before I was anything. And so I kind of developed these personas in order to survive in corporate America. So I had this persona that went to work every day and made the money that financed my dreams and aspirations. And that kind of worked for me. So it was like Superman going into the booth and changing clothes and
Come out, Missy B.
Yeah, there we go.
You went into work Missy Young.
Yeah,
You came out Missy B or the reverse?
No, I went in Missy Young and came out, and I had to take a shower.
Missy
like
Young
I had
is
this
the
whole,
reporter.
Right, okay.
I had
okay.
a whole routine. I had to take a shower and wash Missy Young off, and then I became Missy B.
So that's a version of code switching.
Absolutely.
She's like, without a doubt.
Without
a doubt. 100%.
Because I was very, very adamant about protecting my artist self because that was who I really am. And so I did not want lines to start bleeding where I was doing artsy stuff at work and I couldn't, find that happy medium. So I kept the two separate, almost to my own demise, but I got through.
So I totally get the keeping church and state or compartmentalizing things.
Absolutely.
So before the pandemic, I was a workaholic. Y'all know, work. I'd go into the office, I'd work out early, I'd go into the office early, stay late. But I left it at the office. And then I would come home, whether it be a 12-hour day, a 14-hour day, and I was done and didn't bring that kind of work back at home. I watched my father do that many years, and I just didn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit, and everything was at home. And y'all know I travel a lot. I've traveled a lot professionally and personally. And so then I got really comfortable with doing work at home.
Yeah, that was
tough because you had to really blend the two. How did you survive?
I was almost destroyed. To be perfectly honest, I was.
Your
almost
husband thinks
destroyed.
that's funny.
Well,
it's true.
Because it's true. I was almost destroyed because I have my own studio at home. I have my own recording studio where I can do I can make music. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I can create. As long as I'm not at work, I can create. But when COVID hit, I was working in the same place where I also created. So what ended up happening is my artists retreated because it was like we can't both be in the same place. And eventually I had to take my office, into my studio where I normally create. And so it was very depressing for me because I wasn't able to create and I almost lost myself. So it was something that that I almost lost myself. And then I got an opportunity to go into this program with ITSMF, the Emerge program.
Awesome.
And that Emerge program helped me to dismantle the compartmentalization and actually focus on what it was that I really, truly wanted to do and who I wanted to be. And when I came out of that program, it was clear that it was the artist's way or no way.
Okay.
So that was how I moved forward.
So before we go any further, so ITSMF is an organization that you and I have both been engaged with, and I was happy to sponsor you and
Absolutely.
do the Emerge program a few years back because I thought
happy for you to sponsor
Oh,
me.
girl, I'm all about developing us
Yes.
and ensuring that we're pouring in,
Yes.
no matter where you are in your career trajectory,
Yes.
so that you can find you and be who you really are. If that's in the tech space or not. If that's in another space, I think if you are operating to your fullest potential in the space you really are meant to be in,
Yes.
wonderful things will happen. So and you talk to us a little bit about the butterfly, because I will tell you, when I saw you in the Emerge program, I saw you were never in a cocoon, so let's just be clear.
I was in a cocoon. I was in a cocoon.
But I saw you transform, and your butterfly wings really started to spread as a result of that Emerge Academy.
Yeah,
And-
I was in a cocoon
Okay.
because COVID took me there. But I'll never forget that first day when we went to the Emerge to our class, and Kylie Carr was our instructor, and her very first instruction to us was to tell us to, before we get started, I need you all to take off your mask, and because the person we want to train is the person behind the mask, and there were 40 of us in the class, and I pushed back. I was like, do you know how long it took me to create this mask? Do you know what it means if I take it off?
Right.
And I knew in that moment that if I complied, that I could never go back. Because now, what did that mean for me? That meant that Missy Burton, the artist, had to start going to work.
And Missy Burton, the artist, was at home in her coveted space.
Right. Mad in the cocoon because Missy Young is in the studio doing something she doesn't understand.
Gotcha.
Right? So it was a turning point for me. So the Emerge program was very transformative for me, and the monarch butterfly is my spirit animal or insect, however you want to look at it. And that transformation it changed my life.
That's amazing.
I will never ever forget that moment. It almost feels like that was my turning point.
So you said something interesting. You said, I'll never forget that moment. But I'm hoping through that transformational experience, it didn't just last a moment. And that it lasted.
It's
still ongoing.
Yes,
and that
absolutely.
feeling from it is still ongoing?
100%.
Awesome.
100%. Every day, constantly. And I'm constantly transforming, which is why I have a monarch tattooed on my forearm, because it reminds me of that constant transformation that's necessary for
Love
growth.
it. Love it. So, G Money, what did you see during this time as your partner, your business partner, your wife was going through this transformation? What did you see in her growth?
Well, I mean, I saw it all because, watching her personal space become her workspace, and sitting there looking at her through the glass, like, for hours and hours and hours, and I'm smoking a cigar on the patio with a glass of whiskey, and I'm like, oh, geez, this is not good.
Not a good look.
Not good. Because I know for me, I just closed my laptop, and that was it. When it was 4:30, closes, it's away, done.
You can focus on the artist, your space.
Yeah, and one of the cool things for me is doing design. So there's art in that when you're developing the front end of a website, or even there's designing code, styling your code, and making sure that it's organized and pretty and things like that. So I was still able to hold on to some of the artsy part of me while I work.
So what do you guys think about the STEM and STEAM concept, and what advice would you have to students or young folks who, I wouldn't even say students, those who have an interest in playing in both spaces? So let's say they have a tech background and they're also a musician. Let's say they played the piano growing up. I remember I played the piano growing up. I hated it, but I wish I had stayed with it. But we have a lot of young folks, and we want to make sure that they stay in tech. And the audience that we're trying to reach, both Alicia and I, is around that next generation of folks who are coming into tech. And especially our people of color tend to not stay in the field. I think art is a great way to drive that attraction and that retention period of staying in the field. What advice would you guys, because you guys are a little bit further in your careers, if I could say so, as I am as well. So what would you say to that next generation around, hey, stick with it, do STEM, do STEAM? What would your advice be? Because a lot of folks are thinking it's one or the other, and I really think it is that merger of both.
I think the A is the most important part of the equation. And I think that if you are an artist, you must absolutely never forsake that part of you. But there is room for both. I always had a job during my career as an artist because I didn't believe in being a starving artist.
Right.
I didn't want it to be, I'm so worried about paying my rent or my mortgage that I can't really create good work. I'm only creating something so I can pay these bills. So I never wanted it to be that compromise. And so I feel like when I talk to my mentees about this particular thing, I let them know that there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a lucrative career that will facilitate your growth as an artist. It's absolutely necessary for both, for you to be able to eat and be creative.
So the sweet spot, I always talk about concentric circles a lot. So we'll just use 2 circles for this. This is what you're good at, and this is what you like and you have passion for. It would be ideal if those 2 completely overlapped.
Yes.
But for most, it does not.
It does not.
It does not. So I think what I'm hearing you say is it's okay to say, hey, I'm going to go after the work that I'm good at.
Yes. Yes.
And it will fuel my passion space, fuel and fund
Yes.
my
Exactly.
passion space.
Exactly.
And then you'll have your off time where you can do that. So it becomes kind of like its own circle of life. I'm doing one to fuel another, doing one to fuel another. Am I getting that right?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how it was for me. And I have no regrets about it. It was just, as I go through this continuous transformation, I got to that point to where I had done the work, and I was able to transition into being a full-time artist. And I am blessed beyond measure to have been able to do that. But during the time when I was building up to that, I kept a job because I didn't want that to be my demise.
All right, G Money, what you saying? What you saying? What you saying? What you got? What you got?
You could, there's ways to marry the two. If you're in design, if you're someone that loves design, I mean, you're in the tech space, you're doing front end work, or even if you were in design and you work for an organization where you had to, edit videos. I mean, there's lots of opportunities within tech, or even learning how to code DAWs. All of these things uses a DAW. So you have your Pro Tools. I mean, there's lots of tools. So if you love art and all the different forms of art, then there's ways to go into software development to help people create the art that they love and inspire them.
I think about gaming and all of the creativity that has to go into gaming and creating gaming. It's highly technical, but it's highly creative. And then there's a storytelling element of it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Creation of the characters.
So you have your 3D rigging.
Right.
There's Maya Studio. There's so many. Adobe has Aero. So you have all of this augmented reality stuff that you can do, but you always have to go with a grid, a mold, and say, hey, you know what? How can I create this? So you start creating these 3D characters and things like that. Then you have to do textures and things like that. So there's a lot of skill that goes into creating these characters, and it could be a passion for some who like design. Like you said, in gaming, it's pretty extensive. So you have to have an artsy person that can actually create these characters and bring them to life, because 9 times out of 10 when you get it, it's someone who's written something on a sheet of paper and says, I need a bunny with ears and a big ring and blah, 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 blah. So you have to visualize this and then create it.
Can you guys recommend any conferences that allow both these two to come to life? I'm sitting here, as we were talking, I'm like, I think South by Southwest was one of the first.
South by Southwest always gives me life.
Both.
It always
So
gives me
you
life.
get your music, you get tech, you get
Everything.
film.
Right,
Yes.
right.
It's everything under the sun.
Everything. Visual arts, everything.
So while I love South by Southwest, and that's been a powerhouse conference here down in Austin for a number of years, I think Afrotech also gives you
I
the
haven't
same
been,
thing.
but I've heard
so
Afrotech is good
heavy
as
on
well.
music, heavy on venture capital, on the business side of it, all types of digital technology. So I think there are a number of places where if you have an interest in both these spaces, you can attend some conferences that will help support it, fuel it, ignite it, and help you grow in that space as well. You guys are knee deep in both. You got hands and toes in both spaces.
Yes.
What are you working on now, Missy? What do you got going? You said you were writing a book.
Yes.
So what's going on?
I did 2 residencies last year.
Amazing.
And one was in New York, where I spent time at the Schomburg and the Brooklyn Library, and talking to so many people, getting all this research in for my second book, which is actually a love story about my grandparents and their migration to Tulsa, Oklahoma, from 3 of the black towns of Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I want to tell the story about how my family was triumphant in this migration, because my great-grandfather didn't bring my grandmother and her siblings and mother to Tulsa until 2 years after the massacre.
Oh, wow.
So I learned in New York, as I'm putting these timelines together, that happened. And I thought, why would he do that? Why would he take everybody to a place where they had just, killed all the black people? But I think I went through and put the timeline together, and it's like, not only did he migrate them there from Boley, Oklahoma, but he also purchased not 1, but 2 homes on Greenwood.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Put 3 children through college.
All right.
And
All right.
sustained his family on the side as a musician. So the ones that didn't go to college was in the band.
Okay.
So,
Everyone got to working.
that's right.
So we know why music runs deep in your family.
Absolutely. And so that is a story that I want to tell. Plus
Okay.
the love story between my grandparents is just phenomenal, and how our family came to be. So I'm writing that story.
Okay.
And I'm incorporating the use of the S.T.E.A.M app,
Okay.
which brings art
Stories to life.
right? And so I'm using my photography, writing prose. I'm writing music for certain. So you would scan some of the photographs and you would hear a song that I've written specifically for that photograph. We'll animate some of the photographs. There will be, animation of maps and things like that.
I love it.
Just to make it super engaging.
Right. And to make sure that the story resonates with the audience and they're
Absolutely.
feeling the passion coming from the storytelling. Now, you guys started this concept a few years ago, and it was at the African American Museum here in downtown Dallas.
Yes.
Can you, before we go into your app, can you just talk about how that came to life? Because I think that was the start of this product that you guys have built, or that G Money has built, that you're now leveraging, correct?
So I created this story, or I wrote a story called Dynasty, The Peculiar Search for Totality, where I am exploring the concept of freedom and how long it takes for a family to regain their freedom after one person is captured and enslaved. Mm-hmm. And so I developed these characters, I developed their storylines, life and death dates, they have artifacts, all the things. And I was supposed to unveil this work. There's 7 portraits of 7 women, mm-hmm. and they each tell you their own story. And I was supposed to unveil this work at Houston's Photo Fest in March 2020 at Texas Southern. I was so excited.
Let me guess, something called COVID hit? It pumped the brakes on that?
And it was crazy because we had the car packed,
Oh,
and we
no.
were driving down to do it, and then it was like, they called and were like, they canceled everything, because we kept thinking all the way that it was just gonna, but it didn't. So long story short, we're in prison at the house, and I'm like so depressed, and he's like over there with the cigar and the bourbon, looking at me like, oh my God, I have to save my life.
Clarified that.
I was like, wow. I was like, where'd that come from? Oops. Eyebrows are up on G Money. There'll be a conversation about that later on this evening.
Yeah. So she had the photographs, and at the time there was this wine, 19 Crimes. And so they had the one.
Well, still got 19 Crimes. The one with Snoop Dogg on it. Yeah.
Wait. Let me just tell you a funny thing. So, the Olympics are going on right now. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, Snoop Dogg has become the universal ambassador
for the Olympics.
And I'm loving every minute of it.
Too.
Him and Flavor Flav.
And Flavor Flav getting in there. So we're watching the Olympics on Sunday at my sister's home. And my dad, you all know my father, Tom, Big Tom, says, I like what Snoopy's doing up there. We're like, awesome. Snoop Dogg Day? Yeah, Snoopy.
He's got it right, though. He's got it right. That's right. He's an OG, because when he first came into the game, his name was Snoopy.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah,
It
at the
was,
beginning.
It was his parents called him Snoopy, and then it became
Snoop Dogg.
Then it became Snoop Doggy Dog. Yeah.
Dog.
Tom knows what he's talking about.
We're bringing some culture up into this podcast.
wow,
Whippy yo, yippee yay.
bow wow,
Yippee yo, yippee yay.
The OG.
Okay. So, all right. We're off script. Okay. So, G Money, tell us about the Sanaa. Am I pronouncing it correct?
Sana. So Sana
Sana.
is Swahili for art.
Okay. Thank you. Say that again.
Sana is Swahili for art.
Thank you.
Now, so into the story.
Yes.
So we're looking at the wine.
I'm
doing all the
crying.
things.
Like, I'm upset because my life
And
is
it was
over.
really dope. And so I was like looking at her photographs. And I was
But
like,
wait, babe. You skipped over a part. I was crying and I was depressed. So I opened up a bottle of 19
He was
Crimes.
he was trying to put that in the back.
Yeah, I
girl.
know.
He was trying to not remember that piece of the story. He was like,
So I opened up a bottle of
tink.
19 Crimes. And, I'm looking at this bottle of 19 Crimes wine and I'm pouring it all the way to the top of the glass. And I scan it. And I was like, oh my God. And he said,
I can
we
do
can
that.
totally do that.
I can do that.
That's how it happened.
It's like, just give me a week. I can do that. Just give me a week. So in the first week, I had the beta up and running and doing all the things. And then I taught myself how to augment. And then I went and taught myself, I learned rigging. I started doing rigging years back with Maya for doing like headphone renditions and things like that. So I ended up doing all of that work, and it was like, hey, these women need to be able to tell their story. How cool would it be to go through, scan each one of your photographs, because they have something to say, and people need to be able to hear it versus reading a long manuscript. So went in, did it, taught myself how to augment, and there it was. And I was like, okay, now I've got it working. So now I got to make the app pretty.
Okay.
So then that's the whole UI UX thing. So then I reskinned the app, made it sharper. It was.
and then took your wife's artwork, married it with the technology,
Yes.
and
So
now
we
we
went
have
from having-
we have talking pictures.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we went from having just
and
the
not
portraits.
just talking pictures. We actually have holograms.
Oh wow, okay, cool.
And a thing that I'm calling portals. So you'll start to see some of that toward the end of the year. This whole new thing that I have concept called portals. It's
Pretty dope.
it's
So where do we find your application?
iOS. You can go to the Apple Store and the Google Play Store.
So SANAA.io.
Yes.
You all got that?
And then if you go to my website, you'll see the Dynasty portraits, and you can scan each one of them, and you can get the experience.
And is that MissyBurton.com?
That's MissyBurton.com.
All right, so we're coming to the close of our time together, and I thank you for so much for being here. I love you guys
you for having
immensely.
us.
Love you too.
And I think it's amazing that you have been able to merge your two passions, or merge your passion and let the work fuel your passion. I think it's amazing. I'm glad that you're telling the students and those young in their career, do both.
Yes.
Yes.
'Cause you gotta eat. There's no glory in being a starving artist. There's
No glory in being a
glory.
starving artist, so you got to eat. So you got to keep paper coming in,
Yes.
Yes.
keep the mouth being fed, and that will fuel you to do what you like to do the most. So
Lose yourself.
say that again.
Can't lose yourself.
So your
Keep
parting word
identity.
is you can't lose yourself. What's your parting word?
My parting
Or
word.
parting message?
My parting message is to keep doing what you love. And my grandfather used to say that to me. As long as you do what you love, everything else will come. And so that goes in alignment with what we've been talking about. Is if there's something that you love to do, and even if you can't make any money with it right now, you may be able to make some money
In the
with it.
future.
So you have to keep doing it.
And taking small steps.
Yes,
You're not going to
absolutely.
cross that river in one swoop.
But sometimes it's not necessarily something that has to generate revenue. It could be that strong passion of, hey, I like to sketch. I'm
Yeah.
not looking to sketch and go sell these sketches. I'm damn good at it, but I have a passion for it. It makes me feel good inside. It makes me feel really good. So I do those sketches, do things that are near and
Bring
dear
you
to your
joy.
heart.
Let's
Yeah.
bring you joy.
That's really important because in today's world, people want to be superstars or they're a loser. And I say all the time, to my mentees, it's a whole bunch of good stuff between absolute greatness and loser. It's a lot of good stuff in between.
There's a lot of space.
You can do so much and have so much of an impact.
Yes.
If not only for yourself, for others.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of season 1. For all of you who are here, we are just about to get this party started.
Yes.
I'm so excited for all of the episodes we have coming into this season. We
too.
ask you to follow us at 2 Lit Chicks with Alicia Makaye and myself, Fern Johnson. We're on Instagram. We are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and more to come. Thank you, Missy Burton. Thank you, G Money Gregg Young.
Thank you.